Hi crafters, welcome back to my Halloween series. Today we are going to trap a little witch inside a magic jar, a beautiful and a bit creepy decoration for your Halloween display. If you love slow handmade charm, stay with me, this one will be your new favorite. Let's get started. I begin with a bowl of paper-mâché clay and I shape the witch's head. Two medium balls become her big, gloomy eyes and a small one sits between them for the nose. I use a flat pointy sculpting tool to draw a round eyelid around each eye, almost like little glasses. For the mouth, I simply trace a smile and add thin vertical lines for crooked teeth. It's simple, but it already feels alive. Next, I wrap aluminum foil to form the body, a tight coil for the torso, and two thinner coils for arms. I reinforce everything so the shape is solid and then I cover the foil with a thin layer of clay. I do not sculpt the dress yet, I let the base dry so the dress will sit clean and crisp later. While the torso dries, I paint a pearl witch's skin tone that makes her look both ancient and adorable. Now the house. It is a castle made from a glass jar. Any clear pot will do, a little cauldron jar, a marmalade jar. Choose one you love but make sure the witch will fit at least 1 inch of space under the lid. I cut a strip of cardboard from a cereal box and wrap it around the top of the jar. I draw the battlements, cut the little teeth, and make a crown for the tower. Then I build a cone roof with identical triangles of cardboard, tape them together, and staple them to the band. It is rustic and charming, just how I like my castles. Inside the jar, I pour a little glue and create a tiny landscape with fake stones and miniature greenery. Outside, I press a thin layer of paper-mâché around the cardboard band and carve brick lines with a sculpting knife so the tower looks ancient. You might notice a little ghost hiding inside my pot. That was my first idea, but in the end I decided a witch would be better for this scene. Don't worry though, that little ghost isn't gone, you'll see it in another tutorial soon. I cut a few wavy strips from a craft envelope and glue them onto the roof to create the look of tiles. Then I paint the stones in shades of grey, starting with a dark base, adding a lighter grey on top, and using an angular brush to blend in touches of black for that natural, rough granite texture. A bit of silver adds a beautiful highlight, which I also brush onto the top before moving on to the roof. For the roof itself, I use a warm ochre tone and layer in different shades of beige to give it rich depth and dimension. Back to the witch. I sculpt the witch's dress using a thin layer of paper-mâché clay that I carefully shape to flow naturally. For her hair, I create small coils and mark them with a series of lines for texture. Next, I move on to the hat. I start with a thin circle of clay on her head, then build a triangular shape that I stretch upward to form the pointed tip. I add a thin band around the base and sculpt a tiny buckle for detail. For the cauldron, I start with a ball of aluminum foil and cover it with paper-mâché clay. I shape it into a small pot and add clay bubbles of different sizes inside to make it look like it's bubbling. Finally, I craft a little spoon to complete the scene. For color, I paint her eyes blue and add narrow black slits in the center to give them a snake-like sparkle. The dress becomes deep navy blue, the hat a mossy green with a brown band, and the cauldron a mix of grays with gooey green highlights. I use a wax crayon to add soft highlights and smooth the texture. The crayon makes the clay look polished and slightly worn. When everything is dry, I fix the witch inside the castle with a small drop of hot glue. She will stay there forever, small, safe, and perfectly trapped in her tower. And voila, a beautiful little scene to add to your Halloween decor. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you can see the final version of my cast and lots of new craft ideas for Christmas. I can't wait to share them with you. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, happy crafting!